we have a new time for today's session, so I'm so glad you guys waited on the line for us. Today we have Erin Healy joining us today, and Erin is an amazing educator. We met, I want to say, like 2 years ago on Twitter, and then we hung out at ISTE in Philly, and it was fantastic. And then she got married and got a new last name, so I had to find her again. But Erin is an educator. She's an English teacher over at Cherahoe High School. And she's also the founder of the Young Educator Society of Rhode Island, which is phenomenal. So if you are a Rhode Island educator, or if you know of one, they need to join this organization. It's fantastic for support for future teachers, current educators up through year 5, year 10?
Year 10.
Year 10. Excellent. Awesome. All right. So Erin's here and she's going to share with us about Instagram, our new teacher bestie. I'm going to drop in our chat here a link to our Padlet if you guys want to join in on conversations, share some ideas, maybe drop your Instagram handles. That'd be so cool. All right, Erin, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction. My name is Erin Healy. I am currently still in my classroom in Cherahoe, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about teacher Instagram, or teachergram, the colloquialism. I would like to cover why it's important for you guys to all be hopping onto Instagram and setting up your teacher profiles now, especially while you are student teaching, what you can be doing on Instagram and some things that maybe you should stay away from, and then how to really get involved in this awesome community that is found on Instagram for educators. There we go. So a lot of you are probably already on Instagram just because it is probably one of the most popular social media tools for our generation. And I know it is, a great way to share photos with friends, events, back when we could have events before COVID-19. But there is a really burgeoning space for teachers to share lesson plans, classroom decoration, inspiration, resources that are free, or links to resources that you can find online elsewhere, getting some really good feedback from veteran teachers, especially while you're student teaching. That's a really great tool. And it's easy because you probably already have it on your phones and you can just, keep on your usual scrolling routine, but learn a ton as a beginning educator. You're probably told by a lot of your college professors that keeping social media private is really important for teachers. I mean, there's horror stories from every grade level of something getting into the wrong hands, and then teachers having the careers taken away from them by what they're putting online. My first teaching position, not here, but I actually got my first teaching position because somebody had been fired for social media posts getting into the wrong hands, getting into students' hands. But there are ways to set up boundaries between your personal and professional life that can help you grow and grow your professional presence online, and still use Instagram the same way you use it with your friends. So some things that I would do would be to set up 2 different Instagram accounts. Instagram has also made it really convenient recently to switch back and forth between different accounts. So if you have a personal account, great. I would maybe make that as private as possible and then set up a new one with whatever name or grade level you're interested in teaching. My name did, my Instagram name did change, as Dr. Fessich was saying in the beginning, because I did get married. So maybe picking something that does not necessarily involve your name, if you are intending on changing your name when you get married, would be good. But something like, creative in 5th grade, or like middle school awesomeness. Those are very, a little bit more vaguer usernames that you can use that don't necessarily have to be changed if you go through any sort of life changes. Once you have your teacher Instagram set up, a lot of teacher Instagrams are generally public because it allows people to pop in, see what's going on, see if they want to engage in that sort of community or network, and share with other people. Some of them are private. Like, I'm going to talk about Michaela Fisher, who's a teacher up in Boston. She's given a couple great resources that I've linked later on the slide deck. And so I know that hers is private just because she has a much larger network than someone like I do. But you can always check out my Instagram, and I'll have the username linked a little bit later. You can see that it is public maybe because maybe a fifth grade teacher does not want to follow a ninth and 10th grade English class Instagram, right? So keeping those boundaries in the privacy settings is the first big step. And then the next thing I would do would be to start, even if you don't want to make a teacher Instagram right now, you can do this on your personal one. Just look for some hashtags like um, teaching in COVID, or classroom decor. Like there's all those hashtags you can follow from your personal account or your new teacher account, and start to get some idea of what is being shared in this space without necessarily creating a whole new Instagram profile. And then if you do create a whole new Instagram profile, it's a great idea to get connected. I've met a ton of amazing educators through Instagram, and we swap resources, ideas, especially right now when everyone's in their own silos in their classroom. It's great to reach out and to have an avenue on Instagram that I'm already very comfortable using to do that connection. So as you're setting this up, so those are just some things about like why it's important. But as you're setting this up, it's really important to find your why. Why are you getting involved and getting connected on Instagram? Are you doing it to share the awesome work from your students, which is great? Are you doing it to get inspiration for your classroom? Are you doing it to share your own resources? Are you doing it to promote your teacher pay teacher account, which is all great? We have to identify your why, and then be open about sharing it with other people. Follow your mentor and start a DM conversation, right? Once you find the central reason for your teacher profile, I think that'll also really help, the hashtags you follow in the community, you really start to build on Instagram. It goes both ways. Instagram, kind of unlike Twitter. Twitter is like you can put something out there and then it can be interacted with by so many people, right? The likes, the retweets, the conversations, the Twitter chats. And it's a little more two-way street on Instagram, because not only are you learning and following other teachers to share resources, check out inspiration, connect, but you're also sharing either what you're doing in your classroom. You can share your latest project to get some super supportive and non-evaluative feedback from other teachers in your career. You can ask questions and have that dialogue in a way that you don't really see a lot of on Twitter. You can always, DM somebody on Twitter too, but you can't share a link to a resource or to an image of something you want to get inspired by with somebody else on Twitter as easily. It is also a platform that everyone's familiar with. Everybody, in your classroom in front of you, and also surrounding you and your colleagues, is really familiar with Instagram. It's a passive engagement in PD. I think that some of the greatest professional development I've personally ever received has been just scrolling on Instagram, which is not something that I would necessarily think to do off the top of my head. It's Sunday night, I'm just relaxing, and after dinner, let me scroll through Instagram and, oh, now I have a great idea for my classroom tomorrow. And again, because of the amount of information you can share on Instagram, it's a little bit easier to cold call and connect with other people. You can talk to your mentors and they can see kind of who you are and what you're about, and really give some feedback that's tailored to who you are and what your classroom looks like right now. Definitely way better than just like sending out an email to somebody and hoping for a response, right? You're a little more comfortable with it, they're more comfortable with it, and the amount of information you can share about yourself, it's all there for you and for the people that you're trying to grow in your community. Speaking of familiarity with Instagram, I am a huge proponent of teaching my students with Instagram. Now, I know this is grade level dependent, but part of my Instagram presence online is really to shout out my students. So I don't follow students. I would not recommend ever following students. And this is maybe a grade level idea because I have 9th, 10th, 11th graders in my classroom. But I, in this year especially, love shouting out big ideas like, hey, we're going from hybrid to in-person learning. Do you have any questions about what that looks like in school? Here's a schedule change that we're going through. Or at the end of the spring when we were all distance learning, I did an Instagram like live exam review because the students aren't checking their emails regularly, even though they should in this crazy time, but they're all on Instagram. And if you are providing the content in a variety of ways, like whatever way reaches them best, is they're going to be really successful. And I love the highlight feature on Instagram to save recordings. So my students can go to the ninth grade ELA highlight and watch the video of their exam review on their own time at their own pace, and that can help them study for an upcoming assessment, or prepare to go back to school online. I also love the fact that Instagram is apparently turned into like the golden star sticker for high school students anyway. They love sharing, like when I share out their awesome work, because their parents can see it, my administrators can see it, the community at large can see it, and they really feel a sense of pride when they're like, I was featured on Miss Hall's Instagram story. Or like sometimes I'll say, hey, take a video of what you're doing and how you're working on a project, and I'll post it on Instagram. And so like they get to control the narrative and show off the great work that they're doing in my classroom. This, of course, big caveat, make sure your school's social media policies are okay with that. There's a couple options. You can put emojis on students' faces, or just display the final products with no students in the picture. But they absolutely love having their work and having their expertise shown to a broader community. It provides a lot more relevancy in what they're doing when they know that their audience is more authentic and more broad than just me and my grade book. So that to me, I found, especially with the upper level grades, is a huge asset in my teaching. They can really control the narrative of what they're learning, and how successful they can be at that. Okay, so those are some of the reasons why I think everyone should have a teacher Instagram. But where do you start now that you have your teacher Instagram presence? Well, this is Michaela. I had talked about her a little bit in the beginning. She is fantastic and kindly created a lovely master document of teachers in every content area that you can start following straight away. So when these slides are shared with you guys as resources, if you just click here, and I'm hoping this works with this setup, it takes you to a giant document that you can sort through by what subject you teach, what content area you are, and what grade level. So you can check, like, I'm a middle school English teacher. Here's a whole list of people that you can follow. I teach, Spanish, special education, technology. Here's a bunch of middle school specific resources. Scroll down, we've got the high schoolers. Really, any subject, content area, grade level you can think of, it's all here, and everybody can add, or you can message her and you can add names to this list. But these are some incredible educators, and she's curated a fantastic and ever-growing list of not only the usernames, but also some awesome hashtags that you can follow on Instagram, and grow that community in a way that best fits you. Speaking of hashtags, I mentioned COVID teaching. Because of the ability to sort through all of your feed by hashtags, you can follow things that you're interested in. So for example, I follow high school English, I follow COVID teaching now. You can click here for a list of best hashtags for teachers on Instagram. And then when you search for the hashtag that best fits you, these are a couple really popular ones, you can follow it. And then no matter who is posting using that hashtag, you don't have to follow the person. You can still see all of these ideas shared in one place. And something that I kind of prefer Instagram over Twitter for, again, is that idea that you can save posts. So if you go to the top right hand corner of your Instagram, the three little lines, you can access your saved feature. And I put a link here too, so it says like instructions on how to access your saved posts. But you can save anything you find on Instagram and go back and visit it later. So this is just a screenshot of what my saved looks like. Again, because I know a lot of my audience are my students, I like to save fun things I see online that have to do with whatever unit we're talking about right now. So I've got my To Kill a Mockingbird unit, my Odyssey unit. It's just like some fun memes. I've got some classroom inspiration and like other resources down here in the saved folder, but what I can do is I can go back, like, oh, we're teaching the Odyssey again this year. Let me post this fun meme about this, the book that we are currently reading for the Odyssey, and it just helps, bring that those connections into a more modern sense, but also keeps them thinking about English class when they're at home. They'll be sitting there scrolling through Instagram and being like, "Oh my gosh, I remember that from class today," and making these connections and kind of making it more fun and engaging for your students. So again, if you click the link, I have a little description about how to save posts and then sort by the topic to revisit later. So I would love to see how you guys are using Instagram, and I really would hope that you can connect with me on Instagram, or as Dr. Fessich was saying, my organization, Yes RI, we are actually kind of rotating into a more media-centric presence. So it doesn't matter if you're a Rhode Island teacher, if you are just a new teacher, please definitely check out our site of resources. But finding your why is the most important thing. What do you want to do with your new Teachergram audience? And then, how do you want to start engaging? Do you want to be connecting with people who are your grade level, your content area? Start following them, reach out to them. Everybody at Teacher Instagram is also really, really nice and will absolutely go out of their way to share some of their resources with you. I've, again, found so many amazing connections on Instagram because it's a really positive, optimistic space for teachers. You don't see as much, before COVID-19, you did not see as much of the teacher fatigue and the teacher complaining and stuff that you sometimes you see on Twitter. It's more of a space to shout out and uplift people. And now, honestly, because of COVID-19, it's not that it's a more negative space, it's more of an honest space. And there's a lot of great conversations going on about how people are taking care of themselves and trying to avoid teacher fatigue and distance learning, hybrid learning. It's a great way to stay connected with people because you don't see anybody in your classrooms. And I know that you guys, student teaching experience is crazy right now, so you might not be able to get into your placements right away or to work in a school environment, but there's nothing stopping you from getting a head start and connecting with teachers before you get into the classroom. I know that you also guys have the really, really cool opportunities to do those virtual teacher shadow programs. So this is kind of a way to do that without being school sponsored. You can check in with a classroom, check in with a teacher, see kind of how they're navigating this time and what they're doing with their students, and save those posts and revisit them when you have your own classroom as well. So again, looking forward to connecting with you, and I'd love to answer any questions that anybody has as well.
Thank you so much, Erin. This was great. One question that came in was, I'm student teaching. I don't have my own classroom. What do you suggest? How do I get started?
If you have a content area specialty or a grade that you're hoping to get into, I would maybe start searching for hashtags and other teachers in that grade level and content area. You don't have to be in the classroom. And I also know, like elementary, middle school, you get that grade level certification, and then you could be put in any grade level really. So maybe starting your teacher profile off as a little bit more vague, maybe your name, maybe Grove City Student Teachers EDU or something based about your college. And then again, as you get into your profession, you get a little bit more stable in the next couple of years, you can always change it. It is very easy to change. And it keeps all of your followers and all of your saved and all your archives and everything still together. So it would be a good starting point now. And I think that the sooner you start connecting with teachers, because you're not in your own classroom right now, the more comfortable you'll be when you do get into a classroom, being able to have somebody that you talked to last year as a student teacher, and you can reach out to them with some questions that you might have, and you have those professional networks building before you have a classroom. And also, everyone's willing to help out student teachers, so definitely hop on there now.
Yes, for sure. I think teachers are always like, come on, let me help you. Here's some resources. I think it's fantastic. So the links that Erin mentioned, the how to bookmark, the Townie teacher, Michaela, her information, and then the list of all the hashtags are in our Padlet for today. I DM them to everybody, and they're also in our large group chat here. So if you guys want to head on over there to find those links. Another question that came in was, how can Instagram help me with my job search? How can I showcase what I have on Instagram to connect with my future employers?
Absolutely. Any project that you are doing right now, whether it's your unit development process, practice lesson plans, recordings of yourself teaching, which are very easy to do now that we're all doing distance teaching. You can just record your Zoom call. Putting that stuff out there will be one of the first things that show up when a future principal is deciding whether or not they want to hire you. When they type in your name, you should have control over what comes up first. And if it's your Instagram account with awesome unit plans, great student work, you're sharing all the stuff that you're doing outside of school, whether you're going to any sort of you're running an ed chat or you're going to a conference or even some sort of virtual event, the more you're showing that you are actively engaging in your profession at the get-go, the more likely you are to get hired. I feel really, really strongly that you should be able to control the narrative of if someone is searching your online presence, which they do now. The first thing that comes up shouldn't be that Instagram from your senior year of high school, right? It should be something relevant, professional, and showing your best foot forward. And if you have as many sort of professional education related social medias, Instagram's again a great one because it has the literal video, photographic evidence of your continued knowledge. That's going to really stand out in a crowd.
Absolutely, it will. Yes, thank you. Erin, this is fantastic. Can you share a little bit more about Yes RI for our audience today and how we can
Absolutely.
check it out, what we can find there, and all the awesome resources you guys have to offer now, educators from anywhere?
Yeah, so we are changing up our model a little bit to branch out beyond our smallest state, and we are offering opportunities to do some professional development, connections with larger networks, such as our awesome connection with Kappa Delta Pi and Grove City College, and we are doing more of a social media type presence instead of like a membership-based organization because I really feel strongly that yeah, I mean, yes, Rhode Island is a great state, but we are the smallest state. And in this time of isolation in our profession, we really need to be reaching out beyond our four walls and meeting, student teachers from across the country or connecting with other educators. It doesn't matter what state you're teaching in, we're all going through the same experience right now. And frankly, you guys are student teaching, but even teachers 5, 10 years into the profession are still feeling like they are new teachers now.
Yeah.
So our website currently has a ton of distance hybrid learning resources. We've got some great guest blogs from teachers in all grade levels and all professions who are working through this time and sharing their new knowledge. We also have a bunch of past resources from normal teaching times about getting hired, getting your first job, starting to make these connections on social media, Instagram, Twitter. Even there's a great educational Facebook community if you're willing to change your Facebook profile over to a more professional profile than just like your personal one. And a ton of great resources on that website too. So I definitely recommend checking that out. We are at yesri.org, YESRIORG on all social media platforms, and then www.yesri.org is our website. That I don't think that's going to change, even though we're having a broader reach, just because we have a very established network on that handle. But again, that's why you think 5 years in the future when you're making all these social media handles, which I did not do 2 years ago.
Well, Erin, it's been a pleasure having you join us today, talking about focusing on our why when it comes to getting started on Instagram, looking through who to follow, making those connections, making your posts intentional because you need to own your digital presence. Because if you're not, somebody else is, and that's a scary thing. So we want to make sure we use our social media to promote ourselves as positive professionals that we are and educators of excellence. Erin, before we end our call today, can you share how we can all get in touch with you over on Instagram?
Absolutely. So I am now at Mrs. Healy Classroom. It's MRSHEALEY Classroom. Or my personal email or personal Instagram is also very education focused. It's just Mrs. Erin Healy, same last name. So definitely looking forward to connecting with some of you guys. Again, my Instagram profiles kind of span both realms a little bit, but that's okay because I have fun.
Yeah, it's all good. You have fun. All right, friends, I'll see you guys back here next week. We have, I think it's Amanda Jean coming up next week about teaching online in elementary. So I'll see you guys next week, same time, 2 o'clock. So going back to our regular time next week. I'll see you guys then. Bye for now.